Hello everyone, you're watching In Case You Missed It, and this is what happened in round 16. We start with the Sunday blockbuster at the MCG between the Bombers and Pies, and it certainly lived up to expectation, with Collingwood holding on to second place on the ladder with its 7th straight win. Steele's Sidebottom started his 200th game in true sidey style, but Essendon arrested the momentum and appeared to have things well under control, although their fans were seeing red as the free kick count heavily favoured black and white. Evenly poised entering the final quarter, the class of Pendlebury, De Goey and Cox swooped in to make it a Magpie milestone to remember.
Cox the one hand, what a shield. Myercheck De Goey is simply the man.
The vital victory might have come at a cost though. Defender Flynn Appleby hurt his hammy, while leading goal kicker Will Hoskin-Elliott remarkably returned to the field after an apparent knee injury. Coach Nathan Buckley though says it's just bruising.
At this stage it's just a bruised shin. You know, the front of his, he copped his knee on knee, basically the front of his shin. It's just a really badly bruised leg. But obviously that'll take some time to settle. We'll see how he goes over the next couple of days.
They've had a rough trot on the injury front of late, but some good news for the Pies, Darcy Moore and Travis Varco getting through the VFL unscathed. Now, it was a big Texas-sized win for the Pies, and it just so happens their social media team had a special edition all the way from the USA. Mason Cox's father, Phil, took charge of Twitter for the afternoon and provided some absolute gold. Hashtag Phil Cox tweets was trending on the Twitter sphere. The family making the trip over from Dallas, Texas to see Mason play, and the Magpie even chimed in with a sausage roll to give the family something to cheer about. Well, West Coast has snapped a 3-game losing streak with a narrow win over the Giants in a thriller at Optus Stadium. With both teams sporting makeshift forward lines, goals were hard to come by, as were the highlights, until the second half when Nick Natanui once again gave the fans something to smile about. With the game in the balance late, Willie Rioli made a crucial mistake, allowing the Giants to edge in front. Minutes later, he made amends.
Rioli, who probably owes them one, to his own advantage, ducked out of it, lost it, went and got it again, gave it to Gaff. Off the scale.
Now, a draw looked a real chance until Natanui rose to the challenge again, the Eagles charging to the finish line to run out 13-point victors.
Arm chop. What a time to pay it. McGowan plays on to advantage. Wow.
What a game we had there at Optus Stadium. Well, it was a scrappy affair, but the Kangaroos kept boxing on to defeat Gold Coast at Etihad Stadium on Sunday. The bookends, Scott Thompson and Ben Brown, were reading the ball beautifully. Thompson finishing with a game-high 31 disposals, while the Coleman medal leader added another 4 goals to his tally, taking his total to 46 for the season. It was a dirty day for the Suns, though. Alex Sexton might face match review scrutiny for this incident with Sean Higgins, while frustrations hit boiling point for co-captain Stephen May. Mad Jack Daw with the exclamation point for the 14,000 fans at Etihad.
53 metres out, it's coming back, it's a big bomb. Mad Jack, thank you.
Suns coach Stuart Dew disappointed with his skipper after the match.
It's disappointing, no doubt, from our captain, and I don't think we need to. I'll have a chat to him, but he would know. It's not like we'll just look at each other and you know. As a captain, you know that he let the team down in that moment. And I think he responded well after that. Ideally, again, doesn't happen.
Well, it had been 1,147 days since Brisbane last won back-to-back games, but they made light work of ending the unwanted run with a total domination of Carlton at the Gabba on Saturday afternoon. Veteran Luke Hodge hasn't lost the pep in his sidestep, and while Dane Beams did as he pleased in the midfield with 40 touches, the real hip-hip hoorays were happening in attack as Eric Hipwood kicked a career-high bag of 6 goals.
He drives it through. 6 for Eric.
As for the Blues, well, they lacked pressure and their skills were terrible. The loss leaves them flailing down the bottom of the ladder with 1 win, and Blues fans want answers.
I think our supporters can understand the reality of where we're at just now. We have a lot of work to do. Our group needs to hear we're going to try and be defined by pressure. That's something we're not going away from, and stay united as a footy club. So it's been inconsistent and we've got to work really hard at it, really hard. We're disappointed and we'll challenge hard and we'll work hard.
A tough day there for Brendan Bolton and his Blues. Time now, though, for hot and cold. And we can't look past Hawthorn's third quarter. The Hawks kicked 7 goals for, while the Bulldogs could only manage just the one behind. Luke Bruce was phenomenal, booting 6 goals for the game, 4 of those in the first term alone, to keep the Hawks' finals hopes alive.
And goal to Bruce has kicked 6. Half a dozen.
Now, Norm Smith medalist Jason Johannesson was back to his damaging best across halfback in the first half, racking up 25 touches. The Hawks sending youngster Harry Morrison to him after the main break. JJ going cold, managing just the 7 disposals in the second half. From the cold back to hot and, well, let's be honest, steamy conditions up in Darwin on Saturday night, and the D's found their way back onto the winners list with a win over Freo. Melbourne won the territory battle with a massive 50 more inside 50s, but inaccuracy kept Fremantle in touch for far longer than general play suggested. A piece of Cyril-style brilliance by Jeff Garlett wowed the locals in the Riolis' hometown.
Garlett looking dangerous, bursting clear of 1, then 2, the snap off the outside of the boot, magnificent.
Meanwhile, Max Gawn's nightmares from close range returned once again, but this time the star ruckman managed to right his wrongs and was typically candid in his self-assessment post-match.
Just looking over at the scoreboard, Max, you didn't even realise it was 13-24. Bit of an inaccurate night, but you dominated all the play.
Yeah, we got too many people missing goals and straight in front.
Well, on that, you knew exactly what you did because three-quarter time siren went through and you celebrated like you'd won the game already at three-quarter time.
Jeez, I made that about me, didn't I?
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at that.
It was very good.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to miss 2 in a row, so I thought it was all right.
Classic Maxi. I hope he never changes. All right, we'll keep on the Demons theme for just a little while longer, and it's this week's Play of the Round. And it was a case of sibling rivalry. Angus and Andrew Brayshaw going head-to-head, and, well, the brothers got a little competitive, as you'd expect.
There's the brotherly love that we were waiting to see.
Good on you.
As Andrew wraps up Angus and wins the free kick.
A little bit of brotherly love there, nothing wrong with that. Now, if you're a Dockers fan and didn't catch the match, rest assured, at least your coach, Ross Lyon, was in vintage form, offering this pragmatic view on the result.
You know, you don't always live the fairy tale. I would think Stephen looked at his teammates and saw him pretty exhausted and thought, sometimes you're just not good enough. We weren't good enough tonight. That's just sometimes the facts. I mean, if people say it differently, I'm happy to hear it, but we weren't good enough tonight, and they were a better quality team than us, and that's just the way it is sometimes.
He certainly calls it as he sees it there, Ross Lyon. Well, the Swans' hopes of finishing in the top 4 took a blow on Thursday night, with the Cats outlasting Sydney in a grind at the SCG. Despite applying anti-dew spray to the turf, slippery conditions made clean handling of the Sherrin a tough task. Geelong peppered Sydney's defence, but poor goal kicking and a lone hand from Buddy kept the home side in touch. Tim Kelly finally providing the class they craved.
To Kelly, does he go for the all or nothing? He does! Got it to Ben magnificently! Kelly kicks the goal!
8 goals, 23, the most inaccurate scoreline to win a game since 2012. The loss for the Swans made worse, with veteran Jared McVeigh breaking his collarbone, while Kieran Jack and Dan Hanbury also suffered injuries. A star of the future, though, for sure, in Tim Kelly. The question now, can the Cats keep him, with reports WA clubs are circling? Well, Richmond remains the king of the MCG, the Tigers notching up their 17th straight win at the home of football, equalling Melbourne's long-standing record. The Crows were no match for the premiership favourites, who found another gear in the second term. Adelaide unable to put on the brakes. In what was a big week for the Rioli family, Daniel did his uncle Cyril proud, doing what Riolis are renowned to do.
Rioli, it is. That's apt, isn't it, in this week?
Jack Riewoldt nearly took Mark of the Year moments later, following up with a Goal of the Year contender.
Kick by Edwards to 4-4. Oh, nearly Jack. That would have been something. This might top it off. He's
floating, floating, floating. A goal. Oh, yes.
That goal impressing Bruce and President Peggy. Riewoldt seeing the lighter side of his dropped mark, his Instagram post showing just what was at stake. Well, just who can beat the Tigers? Is Port Adelaide a contender? Well, they certainly are one of the informed teams at the moment, the Power notching up their 5th straight win with a comfortable victory over St Kilda. Stephen Motlop was at his influential and sometimes unconventional best in his 150th game. Charlie Dixon did his part with 4 goals as they disposed of the Saints. Port Adelaide coach Ken Hinkley clearly didn't feel too threatened by anything St Kilda had to offer.
We were pretty solid by the end and we still won the game pretty well and never going to lose the game, which is pleasing. You know, you take the win and move on. We're 11-4, currently sit second on the ladder. Hard to please if I'm not happy.
Alrighty, to the ladder now, and the Tigers and Pies consolidate the top 2 spots. Port jumps into the top 4 at the expense of the Swans as the Hawks climb into the 8. Losses to the Crows and Bombers increase the gap to fellow chasers North Melbourne and GWS. The Lions win over the Blues, putting a 2-game gap at the bottom of the ladder. And that's another episode of In Case You Missed It, done and dusted. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next week.